Welcome to Ask the Experts. I'm Jill Schlesinger. Jack, oh my God.
Sorry.
They're coming to, I think Jack's headphones are a little loud. All right, here we are. Ask the Experts. I'm Jill Schlesinger. Jack Otter.
I'm Jack Otter. I feel like Superman. I heard the ant walking up the side of the wall there.
Really? You got the highly attuned ears.
Exactly.
And we're joined by Ray Martin, financial advisor extraordinaire, Money Watch blogger,
Hey guys.
writer, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Blah, blah, blah.
Ray and Jack have had a little consternation today because Jack did not tell Ray that we had free lunch through the truck. We apologize for that. Apologies in advance now. Can't we all be friends?
Oh yeah.
All right, you're okay with that.
No hard feelings. Just, next time there's free food, come on, let me know. Actually, in Jack's defense, he told me and I wasn't listening, which, totally would describe me. Because some things just goes in one ear and out the other when I'm preoccupied.
Unless it's Ask the Experts when you are completely hyper-focused on
I was so focused on the show
questions.
today. Maybe that was the case.
That was it. So if you've got a question, you can ask us a question by going to moneywatch.com. Throughout the week, you can always send us an email, by the way, asktheexperts@moneywatch.com. But if you go to moneywatch.com and you go up to, oh, now I've lost my mouse. Isn't this just something else? But I found it. I found my mouse. You can click in the upper right-hand corner, and it says Ask Our Experts, and it says Your Money Question. So I'm going to click on that just
But
to
the
show you
font
that.
is so small. It should be bigger.
There it is, feedback. It's
It's
fabulous.
Huge. It should be a huge banner on the page, shouldn't it?
Well, what can I say? Anyway, if you've got to go onto the website right now, moneywatch.com, and of course you can join the chat. We love the chat room. So
And you're going to want to hurry because when that deli sushi catches up to Ray, he's out of here.
It's all done.
Yeah.
The lunchtime
poor,
trots, yeah.
Poor Jack with his sausage sandwich. I told you I had the chicken. I knew I was going on the air. But okay, it's a small room, gang. So all right, let's get on with your questions. Okay, let's go something kind of top of the news. So let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Andy writes, what, if anything, should I be doing to prepare financially just in case our political leaders are not able to resolve the debt limit issue by the August deadline? Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, I guess you could potentially have some extra money in cash because I think if they don't come to a deal, there could be some pretty serious dislocation in markets. Would that be fair, Ray?
I wouldn't have cash. This is the last thing I'd own. I'd own
But
gold, diamonds, and guns.
Oh, come on now. Come on. No,
If the
but
dollar plummets, they don't pass this. A 41% cut in federal spending was the paper that came out earlier this week, right?
Right.
So people not getting Social Security checks, not getting supplemental checks for food and whatever.
Medicare, food stamps.
You got kids and you got to feed them. You're going to feed them any means necessary, which means, potential rioting, taking food from stores,
Jeez.
knocking on doors. So, and the dollar plummets, so I own cash.
Well, the only reason I would say
This
that is
is
I
a
would,
doomsday scenario, if you
But
ask
it-
me. This is U.S. technically defaulting on its debt. And that's just-
absolutely. But I would have some cash because what if the stock market plunged by 1,000 points and then I'd want to
Yeah.
actually maybe buy something?
Well, one thing.
Okay, cash in your portfolio
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
cash in your hand.
Yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Talks about this a lot. It's really important right now. Lock in a mortgage. A buddy of mine has 4.75 on offer, and he said, "Should I wait a little bit to see if they go down? If they don't pass this debt, I think they will. But should they not, mortgage rates could certainly spike."
Yeah, finally. Because I've only been proclaiming that we've been lock it in, and we kept saying, but
the truth is, the gain you would have made from not locking it in is like this,
I know.
and the risk you're taking is this.
So unless the Fed steps in and says more quantitative easing part 3, printing money and
could happen.
buying more, they don't have to go to Congress for that, I
like
understand,
they
right? The
always
Fed can just say,
Yeah.
we got to step in and do this. So
Right,
that
yeah.
could keep mortgage rates down.
Absolutely.
it's like scary things happen in threes. Quantitative easing. There could be a third one, Okay.
But this is a crazy. I mean, it's a crazy time. Did you hear what Warren Buffett earlier this week said?
I love
Look,
this.
during the Bush administration, they raised the debt ceiling like 6 times.
7.
7, okay, 7 times without all these dramatics. And he says now it's just kind of like a bunch of kids fighting in school. It's unnecessary.
And this McConnell proposal is so absurd. It's like, we
Yes.
want to pretend like we're against it.
Yes.
So here, we're going to let you pass it. We're going to vote against it, and then you have to veto us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and
that
Mr.
is
President, you have
embarrassing.
to pass spending cuts. You have to approve the spending cuts, so we're not responsible for them too.
Right. Yeah, we didn't cut Social Security, you did.
That was just an immature. I agree with you, Jack.
Yeah.
I think that was just ridiculous and immature of him to even float that out there.
It's like something that you would read in a political satire, but
Right.
it's true.
Right.
It's actually happening.
Strange
nuts.
times.
I like when they say what we have to do is we've got to find a way to have tax increases, but not call them that.
Yeah.
So I love that. We're gonna close loopholes. By the way, guys, if they stop saying mortgage interest is deductible, I promise you your taxes are going up. Promise. So it's, we'll just call it something else.
If you own a mortgage.
If you have a mortgage, exactly. Renters rejoice. Robert asks, over the years, I've had multiple accounts, IRAs, Roths, rollovers with several different brokers. I still have a bunch of accounts. I've condensed to the different brokers to TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, and Vanguard. Within them, I have a couple of dozen stock and bond funds. Should I try to consolidate to one brokerage and a handful of funds? If so, how? Jack, what do you think? You think that people should have just one place where they do business, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I think just there's no financial reason to have only one place, but I think kind of from a psychological planning issue, it is better to have only one place because it's much easier to figure out what you've got and then make adjustments so that you have what you think you have. I bet if this guy ran, say, a Morningstar fund X-ray on his, he said he has a couple dozen bond funds. He has got to be over-concentrated in one area, underexposed in another, and he has no idea. It's just that he probably has a bunch of fund managers who love, industrials and don't own financials or whatever. So that's a good reason to reduce the number of funds, figure out what his asset allocation is, figure out the best way to get access to those assets. So you've got, if you're an indexer, of course, you can do it in about 3 funds. And then we could talk about a few things you could pile on top of that. But I think that's too many. And I don't think Fidelity is going to go out of business, and if they do, as long as you own the funds, you own the funds anyway.
Right. And
I happen to like Fidelity's website, by the way.
That's the funniest thing is that more and more people are choosing where they do business based on how easy the applications are. Right. I like it. It has a nice iPad app, or the site itself is. That does matter. If it's easy to use, it's better for you. Great. Ray, you've got furrowed eyebrows. Now this same
That's just what I do.
same furrow eyebrow is the exact same furrow eyebrow that came out when he found out there was free lunch.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
Okay, so you better get ready, Jack. What's Ray think?
Well, Jack picked up on a couple dozen stock and bond funds. I mean, you can perfectly diversify a portfolio in 10 or fewer mutual funds, stock and bond funds total. Okay, so you probably you got a lot of overlap here, and potential costs also. But what do I tell my clients on should I have all my accounts at Fidelity or all my accounts at Schwab or all my accounts, wherever. The actual brokerage account is a custody account, okay? And your assets in a brokerage account are, by law, separated from the assets of the investment and brokerage firm. So, they go out of business, they can't pledge or hypothecate or sell your securities, okay? So that's number one. Number two, look at SIPC insurance. What's a SIPC and excess SIPC insurance? Securities Investor Protection Corporation Insurance. So if your broker goes out of business and your securities go missing, meaning that they don't keep good records, are you protected from that? So look at that. One firm, doing business with one firm has a lot of advantages to it from an administrative point of view, access point of view. You're getting familiar with and being able to track. So that makes a lot of sense, I tell people. But if psychologically you just feel better having some of your money at 2 different firms, fine, then so be it. Just know the price you pay is just tracking the 2 and dealing with that. If your advisor likes to be at one particular firm for you from a standpoint of tracking, listen to them about that, okay?
Right.
It can make a lot of sense.
Right. I like the idea, Jack, of being in one place with I like a brokerage account rather than just having a bunch of mutual funds, because then you can buy lots of different stuff and ETFs if you're putting big chunks of money.
You can own mutual funds in a brokerage.
Exactly.
You can own anything. A Fidelity brokerage account doesn't mean you own Fidelity funds.
That's right.
You can own Vanguard funds
In
and
a
exchange-traded funds and iShare exchange-traded funds and SPDR in a brokerage account, and individual stocks and individual bonds, certificates, deposit, everything.
Yeah. So
and last time I looked, that's about the one criticism I would level at Vanguard. Last time I looked at its website, it just wasn't up to the level of some of the others. It might have gotten better recently, but not so hot.
Much.
Yeah.
Right.
So, although we love you, Vanguard, we want you to have a better website.
And you could do worse than to just own 3 Vanguard funds, call it a day,
Yeah.
and then that website's fine.
Right.
But if you're owning stocks and ETFs and all that, you're better off elsewhere probably.
And if you want to do a lot of research, I think
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit more
But if
difficult.
your company 401k is run by Vanguard, then you're going to have a Vanguard account.
Right, that's right.
So you're
No
gonna be
choosing
there,
that.
yeah.
And
What
you're
do you-
better off than most company
Absolutely.
401k
Now, by the
participants.
way,
They're
Ray,
great in that space.
just a quick question about the 401k. Now, there's some talk about whether all employees should get a brokerage account option in their 401k plans. What do you think of that?
I like the brokerage account option. It's a self-directed account,
Right.
In a 401k plan, particularly when you have employees that want to diversify and get into alternative investments, the energy, and precious metals, and so on, and they want to do so with an exchange-traded fund or sector mutual funds. And
they could reduce
your
the
employer,
cost.
Well, your employer shouldn't be adding that to the lineup. The lineup is good for everyone, but not specifically perfect for any one particular person. An employer has a fiduciary responsibility. When they add a self-directed brokerage account, they allow those employees that want to do something different to complement their own overall portfolio to do that. Now, it should come with an education class. You should go through a little bit of education and training before you use that account, because you can fritter away your 401k assets and your employer's match money that goes in it and so on. So employers should put some protections around employees and maybe have limits of how much they can put in there as well.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe limit trades, because I remember in the 90s when I was advising people, and they were nutty.
Hard to do.
Oh my God.
And
maybe just
it's difficult to do that.
Right.
Administratively.
Yeah. So anyway, what do you think, Jack?
Well, Sweden, I believe it was Sweden, where they had a pretty bad experience with this. You could buy anything, and in the tech bubble days, there were some people who blew their entire retirement savings on some tech stocks. And so it's very big brother of me to suggest that choices ought to be limited. But the fact is, performance tends to increase with, in what's the word? Inversely, the performance is inversely proportional to the amount of choices you have. And that's unfortunate, but it's true, and we've got to take that into account.
Mike in Calgary just wrote into us, and he said, a fundamental question no one who can provide a satisfactory answer to, :
We can.
Why are we not, and he put this in bold, demanding that our educational system from junior high school onwards teaches our kids the basics of capitalism, i.e. buy a widget for $1, add value to it, and sell it for $5? Why is that? And I think that's sort of one of the biggest problems with a 401k plan, is you raise that we don't have this in our school systems right now. We don't have it. It's not part of a sort of standard curriculum for a high school kid that you should come out of high school knowing how to balance a checkbook even. Like, what if you don't go to college? So, Jack, what's the deal? Why can you fix this?
No, I spoke too fast in saying we'd have an answer,
Yeah,
because this is a tough
exactly.
one. No, I can't fix it. And even if you start to talk about solutions, think about how hard it is. So who would direct this? The government? A lot of people have a big problem with that. The banks would have a bigger problem with that. It's a very difficult thing to get. And it's a great example of the rich getting richer. At good schools, the smart kids who might have some money from their parents are taking economics classes and have a leg up on the kids who aren't exposed to this. It's a very, very difficult issue. Boy, if you could get the right committee to, get somebody like a Warren Buffett and a Bill Gates to fund and choose the people to come up with a curriculum that would then be taught, that'd be wonderful.
I mean, basic personal finance. I mean, not for nothing, as they used to say in Rhode Island, where I used to live. Doesn't seem to me something that we should be glossing over and waiting for kids to learn on their own. So
the hard way.
I don't know. That seems it seems like a real problem that we don't do that. So I agree. There's an organization in D.C. called Jumpstart, jumpstart.org, right?
Yep.
They try to go out and rally the troops, but you have to go by school district. And get them to
That's correct.
Literally say, you go to one school and will you add this to your curriculum? And then you get, I love teachers, you know that, but sometimes you get teachers who don't want to do a lot more work, and they say, well, we're not going to do that.
Add to that, with No Child Left Behind, they are being judged on how their kids perform in tests at the end of the year. And if finances aren't on the test, the teachers don't want to teach it.
Right.
So it's a very, very difficult problem.
All right, let's shift gears a second. Here's Scott, who says, a couple of weeks ago, a 27-year-old Jason asked what he could do to be financially proactive. The three things you suggested were maximize retirement contributions, eliminate consumer or student debt, and establish emergency savings. After he completed these three, he could come back and get the next three goals. Now you can help me, a 28-year-old who wants to know, what are those next three things? I'm maxing out my IRA and 401k. I have 9 months of emergency expenses in a CD, no consumer debt. So Scott's done the first three, and he says he has a mortgage. He's making extra generous principal payments every month, even though it only has a 4% interest rate. I'm taking vacations I want to take. Right now, I'm only limited by vacation days more than money. Generously supporting the causes I want to support, over 10% of my income. I still have money accumulating in my savings. What are the next three things I should be doing? Scott, you should get yourself a girlfriend or a wife, because you are a very eligible bachelor. I don't even know. He doesn't say whether he's married or not.
Buy a Porsche.
So
He's
Ray,
clearly not married. Come on, let's be serious.
That's what I assumed also. That's terrible. But so let's assume Scott's single.
Yeah.
Without going into further detail and getting us in more trouble. What are the next 3 things that he can do? I mean, he really is, he's like slamming it with all the to-dos.
Yeah, I hear tactical accomplishments, but I don't hear strategic. Okay, what's he doing? Why is he doing this? What is he trying to accomplish and by when?
Okay.
Does he have a plan? Has he invested in some kind of long-term strategic financial plan? Where does he want to be in 5 years? Where does he want to be in 10 or 15 or 20? And what does he need? Is he quantifying what he's doing today to get him there? I didn't hear that, and that doesn't mean that he's not doing that. But I'm just saying, if you haven't prepared a written financial plan and laid out what I just said, okay, strategically and where you want to be, then do that. Invest in that. Either you do it yourself, or I'd rather you hire somebody that's experienced in this area, that fee only, that isn't going to be selling you any product right now, just to get a sense of it, to work with it. It'll be worth the investment if you work very closely with them. I think that'll pay off. Grow your balance sheet. And why are you growing your balance sheet?
Can you please talk in human terms? So he doesn't know
No,
what
your
that
balance
means.
sheet, assets minus liabilities equals net worth. Your balance sheet. Grow the asset side of your balance sheet.
There you go.
So
you
want to buy things that are appreciating and have growth potential, and then can return income to you as well. So
all right. Well, how about we just give a few fundamental things after you get your plan? So you do your plan. How about just a general investment account? That's basically a supplemental investment account. You open it up with a brokerage firm.
He's not saying he doesn't have that.
He's just saying the only thing he says he has is an IRA and a 401k. So let's give him like a brokerage account.
A taxable account.
An
individual taxable
and start rocking that a little bit.
Dumping money in there and building a portfolio.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's the number one thing that I would say. So we got 2 things. What's the third thing we can tell him to do?
Buy a Porsche.
Okay, Jack says buy a Porsche. What kind?
But seriously, we're joking that he's single, but he probably is. I mean, he's not talking about those sort of obligations. So if he can build this account with his 10 or 15-year horizon, there's a good chance that costs are going to come up in his future that are big, and he has no idea about, whether it's a big house or a summer house
or education.
And so being able to put this money aside now, long-term money, invest it well, he might just very well have an account to allocate that to 10 years from now. And he'll be really happy that he prepared now for that situation.
So I'm going to put one other thing on there is as he starts accumulating these assets or building his balance sheet, what we're also going to tell you to do, Mr. Scott, is you're going to draft a will. Because now you've got some money and you got some stuff that's going to pass outside of a contract, right? Your IRA and your 401k will pass to your beneficiary. Your house will probably, I don't know if you own it with anyone, but if you own it to yourself, you're going to have to tell somebody where that goes. So let's put draft a will on there. Even though he's young and he's not married, he's got some stuff. Yeah. And he's going to have to make sure he gives it away. Jack says, buy the Porsche and give that away. You could donate that. What Porsche would you tell him to buy? Let's be clear with your to-dos.
Sure. Well, I think if money is no object, obviously
it's going to be a
the
little
911 is the classic, but the Boxster,
get the Boxster.
Nice too.
Absolutely.
And one thing to remember with that will and these beneficiaries, make sure you keep up on that, because we've heard terrible stories about guys who, they sign up for their 401k just out of college, they throw their girlfriend on there, and they don't think about it. And then 20, 30 years later, their wife finds out that Susie's getting the 401k, and this has really happened. So
I love those stories.
Just keep those beneficiaries up to date.
That's right. Okay, Sandra asked a question. I really don't know this answer. Ray, you're from New England, sort of spent a bunch of time there. When's the best time to buy heating oil for your home?
I heat with propane, and I asked my company, Perico Gas, the same question every year. Generally in the summer when the peak heating demand is down at its lowest point, so it's a supply-demand story. Propane, which I heat with, is a derivative of distilling. It's a waste product, actually, distilling gasoline. I went to talk to my guy. It's like 70 cents more expensive than the lowest price I paid, or the highest price I paid all last year. So it didn't make sense to lock in for me at the time. Talk to your heating contractor and ask them what you were paying per gallon of heating oil all last year. They'll tell you your spot price every time they deliver it for you, and take a look at what the price is now and compare that. Typically, the heating oil cycle is a little less volatile than what I heat with propane, but since I don't have experience in the heating oil side, personally, I'm not going to really kind of guide you that. But talk to your heating oil contractor and ask them just what I'm asking. All the different prices you paid last year when you heated during the season and during the summer, and then look at it now. You may be able to lock in at a fixed price rate. It'll be a little premium over what the price is right now, but it may be a lot lower than what the price is next year. And given that, the kind of things we talked about at the top of the show, the budget and all the stuff going on there, dollar-denominated commodities like heating oil could be very expensive this time next year. So, or this time in the winter, rather. So you want to look at that.
All right.
You may be better
We're gonna
off
go with
buying
it?
some now.
Yeah, absolutely. As
All right.
Southwest Airlines has done brilliantly by
Hedging.
locking in prices like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Tom asks, ready for this one? It's a student loan question. I've been watching my student loan balances and noticed that they seem to go down very slowly in spite of making regular monthly payments. After some research, we determined that the Sallie Mae loan is a simple interest loan versus a traditional loan. It's a simple interest loan. They don't compound? That seems strange, no?
I don't-
That
yeah,
seems
it
odd.
has an annual compounding.
Please
yeah.
discuss the differences and the ramifications to all the parents, students out there working hard to pay off these loans. I have to look that up. I don't think I know that. I can't imagine that. It has to be a compounding,
Right.
not a simple interest loan,
Right.
right?
Maybe he's using the wrong term.
Maybe.
I don't know what he's
There's no such thing as an interest-only loan. I
Not
hope.
not for
Yeah.
Sallie Mae, I hope. That would be
But he's
kind of
saying
scary.
it's, you know, that he's just making these regular monthly payments. He says his loan value balance is going down slowly.
But that's what happens, right?
Well, do you have a 20-year pay? What's his term of paying off?
Maybe
You know,
that's what
yeah.
the real. Maybe that's the issue is that
Yeah.
he's got a term that's way longer.
You could have it sounds like a long term here, Tom, that you're paying, like a 20-year pay or even a 30-year pay. Could you make extra principal payments? Of course you can. Is there any penalty for paying off your loans early? No, there's not. You look at the cost of that debt versus any other debt that you have, though. Before you do that, if you have credit card debt, obviously you want to pay that down faster and get
Right.
back and just pay the smaller payments on your student loans. But assuming you have no other debt out there, and this is the only debt obligation you're trying to pay it down, you can accelerate your principal payments here. I wouldn't lock into a 10-year pay or a 5-year pay because then you're locked into that payment if you did a loan consolidation or restructure. I'd
Right.
stay with the longer term, but just pay more on it as you pay it off.
Do student loans, do you pay off the interest in the way that you pay off mortgage interest? Do you pay off the interest first and you only really start
It
whittling
looks like
away
there's
at
three
the
different
principal
plans.
later?
Well, it amortizes. It's not that you pay interest first and then it's all principal. It's just the amortization schedule as your principal balance drops, your interest portion drops as well.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It says here on the Sallie Mae website that rates are based on LIBOR, the London Interbank Overnight Rate. Is that right?
Yep.
Did I make that up? Kind of, sort of.
There's a margin over that.
Plus 2%.
It's not bad.
So that, but that a LIBOR rate is not simple interest. So I don't know. There's something funky going on here. There are different options to repay. You can pay interest repayment option. So while you're in school, and you can save money by just. You can maybe start paying interest while you're in school.
I wonder
you
if
can
they're
defer.
if that's what's going on here.
That's what it sounds like. Pay interest while in
Maybe that's
school
what he's doing.
and have
Yeah.
a shorter repayment period after school, and you can save over 20%. But that would assume that he was still in school. I don't know. But you can make deferred repayment options while you borrow the money and you're in school. That's what most
Right.
kids do, right? They take the money, they're in college, they start paying when they get out, and then a fixed repayment option. Pay just $25 a month while in school and have a shorter repayment period after school, and you can save over 10%. Anyway, it's a very expensive. I think that you probably are not, Tom. I think that
You can have payments automatically deducted from your checking account and get a discount on the interest rate
right.
when you do automatic pay.
Now, the best way to do that,
Great
by the
plan.
way, is to have it automatically deducted from your parents' account. That's really, truly the best way. Rachel asks.
Wait, I got one more bit
Yes.
of
Oh, yeah.
student
Or
loan
from your
advice.
account.
Yes.
Okay, if you catch a famous baseball player's 3,000th hit,
Yes.
and you have lots of student loan debt outstanding,
Do not give it
Do not
back.
give the ball back to the multimillionaire team and player. Okay.
I don't know. I just thought it was a nice thing he did.
It was a
that.
very nice thing. It was very nice, and it was
Karma.
financially
Don't
unsound.
discount the value
That's
of karma.
right.
All right.
Look, people are
This
falling
had
out
come
of
back
people are
from
falling
him.
out of stadiums and dying, and you don't
This
want them to
guy,
give that back.
this guy
here's
could
what you
make
do.
a lot more in just goodwill.
Maybe they're going to put
More
a
doing
than
that,
two
you know?
hundred $250,000.
Hey,
I
you
mean,
know.
here, do this: sell it back to Jeter. Give that money to the Make-A-Wish Foundation so kids can go to baseball games, something like that. But just
you've got it.
handing
It
the
was
ball
a
back.
split-second decision. You're not going to bust the guy's chops for
No,
that.
no, I don't want to bust his chops, but I do think it is mental accounting. You know, we've written about this, and it's very important. People think that if you find $10 on the street, or if you pay $50 for something that was marked at 100, that $50 you have left over is different from the 50 that your employer pays you. And it's not.
I don't know. I think it was a nice thing he did, and as I read through it, I wanted to take the hard course. I said, oh man, what a bonehead mistake! You should have kept it and sold it away. Then I thought, you know what? It's what he wanted to do, And
Can I just say
you
that
felt
it is
good about it?
it is
You gotta
apparent that
meet
Ray
Jeter.
Martin has a heart. Here it is. We thought he was the Tin Man, but he does have a
Nice.
heart. There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Oh,
A
that's-
heart,
that's
a
rough.
brain, the nerve. Okay, next question. Rachel asks, I have been watching the price of silver, gold, and platinum go up and down for the past 8 months. Could you explain to me why or how platinum is so much higher value, she forgot a word, than that of gold? Is there that big a market for platinum?
Actually, there's a couple of markets for platinum. One is like gold and silver, a precious metals market. I mean, it's very desirable from the standpoint of jewelry, and it's an excellent store of
Wedding
value.
ring?
It's also used in things like electronic connections and catalytic converters for automobiles, for smog emissions control. It's more scarce. The value per ounce is obviously much more value. It's denser. If you ever held an ounce of platinum versus an ounce of gold, the ounce of platinum just is, I'm sorry, an ounce, they'll both weigh the same, but the same size piece, the same size piece would be much heavier in platinum. So, also China steps into the platinum market, and they really can move it given the supply issues versus gold. So, if you're going to own precious metals, platinum, silver, gold, if you're concerned about, and they're priced in dollars, so if you're concerned about a falling dollar, that would be the triple play.
There you go. Used to love, I'll tell you, platinum used to be 5 guys standing around a little circle. They never did anything. We'd be like shrieking, and it's gold and silver and copper, and these guys are just standing and sort of quietly dealing. So you knew there was not a big market
And palladium,
for that.
too. Have you heard of that?
Platinum and
that's right.
palladium trade in the same ring.
Holy cow.
Make a market
Yeah.
in both. Love it. Okay, here's a question. Megan just sent this to me. Megan's our producer. We're so happy to have her back from maternity leave. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Sally is running the board. She does a fine and fabulous job as always. So there we go. Megan says, I don't know who wrote this, Megan. So Megan says that there is somebody who wants to know that he would like to apply for a major credit card. I haven't had one in almost 10 years. I'm in my 20s. Sorry. I haven't had
okay,
one.
that
No, I'm sorry.
explains
No, sorry. I
He would've
haven't
been 10 years old when he had his
I
first
haven't had a credit card in 10 years. In my 20s, I found myself in over $30,000 of credit card debt with a ruined credit score. I worked with consumer credit counseling and paid off the debt over the next 4 years. I've lived on cash ever since, and I'm now a homeowner with a credit score of nearing 800 and would like to have a major credit card for emergencies and purchases. I want to know which credit card companies are most reputable and offer the best deals. What an amazing success story. What a great turnaround, right, Jack?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
So what do you think? Well, I think you go to moneywatch.com and go to the best credit cards
Best credit cards for you.
for
Yeah.
you. We actually have a post for that, and I'll put it up here.
Because
That'd
the
be good.
answer depends on how you use the credit card. I mean, first of all, you shouldn't pay an annual fee. There's no need to. Some people who just love racking up those frequent flyer miles, as we've written and we continue to write, the deal on frequent flyer miles is getting worse and worse, and you get less and less for those miles. But I still do it, and I've gotten tickets off of them, and it's fun. So that's one way to go. But on the other hand, cash rewards is probably a smarter financial move.
And here I just got
Getting cash back.
we have best credit cards for 2011 here on moneywatch.com, which was updated. It looks fabulous, and we have the best low rate card and the best balance transfer card.
One bit of warning is that these offers do change frequently, so much so that literally we would talk to the head of public relations for one of these companies. They would tell us the deal is X, Y, and Z, and then one of our viewers would call in and they couldn't get that deal. So we'd call them back and say, oh, no, absolutely, that's the deal. And then they'd call us back chagrined a couple days later and say, actually, we withdrew that deal. Here's the new deal. And you'll find different offers on different websites for the same card.
So that's maddening, of course.
I'll throw a spin on it to consider. If you bank, look at a credit card offered through your bank that you bank with for your checking, where you have your online checking and bill pay. Like, for example, if you bank with Bank of America, okay, with the same ID you log on, you can see your checking account, you can see your savings account if you have one, and you can see your credit card account, all on the same page, all on one login. And then when you want to go make payments, you just go to bill pay and swap over from checking right to your credit card, and it's done. And the nice thing about that is people tend to check their banking accounts more frequently. So when you're checking your bank account, you automatically see your your credit card account. And it's just, again, householding. The power of householding, and then staying on top and being Vigilance is where you are. He said earlier, I suddenly found myself in $30,000 of credit. You don't find yourself in $30,000
After I bought my Porsche on my credit card.
You get there because you're not paying attention.
Right.
So put the protections around yourself that you will pay attention by linking it up with accounts that you check frequently.
And why not autopay? It said autopay, so you pay the full amount every month out of your checking account.
You set it up that way. Set it up that way as well.
All right.
But look at your current activity in between your payments, so you kind of know where you're at.
And for those folks who, we always get this question. You didn't get it this time, but I just want to go over this because people will always say, you know, I wrecked my credit. Now, how do I get a credit card? We do secured credit cards and you build it slowly.
Stored value,
and it takes a while,
cards,
right?
It takes a while, 5, 7, 8 years. But look, 10 years later, he says he's got a credit score in the 800s.
That's pretty awesome,
rare,
right?
yeah.
Got a good mortgage on a house. That's a great story.
It is.
You can,
That's what I
you can
think.
come back. It takes time. There's no quick fix. There's no silver bullet here, but it takes time. And you can, obviously turn things around.
That's I feel like that's a good one to end on. It's like a very happy story. So I'm going to call it this time. Ready? That was a great question. So you can come out of crappy situation. You can turn your life around.
Right.
And of course, if you have a lot of money, you can easily lose it. So stick around. We can help you with that if you want that. If you've got questions for our program, ask the experts at moneywatch.com. You can always give a little click on there, and you can always go to the top right-hand corner of the website, and you will get a little neat icon there and be able to send us a message. Jack Otter.
Jill Schlesinger.
The somewhat tight-lipped about free lunch, Jack
Yeah.
Otter.
Yeah.
Ray Martin, the man who had to pay for store-bought prepared sushi. Sorry
and,
about that.
I do have a heart. Tin Man. That's rough.
It was sweet. I thought it was like a sweet metaphor. I love the Tin Man. I'm Jill Schlesinger. I'm like the Scarecrow, but I can't dance.
Where's my oil can?
That's it. Thanks so much for watching, and shoot us an email. Let us know how we're doing, and tell us what topics you want covered. Thanks for watching Ask the Experts. We'll see you next week.